Hey guys, welcome back to Leading Edge Cricket. I'm Rob, one half of Leading Edge Cricket. Episode 62 is here, and today it's a bit of a Blackcaps special. So I was very lucky enough to sit down with Will Cavanagh, and we was able to talk about the first 3 one-day internationals with the Blackcaps versus India, as well as what the hell is going on with the Eden Park Stadium situation and what that means for cricket in Auckland. You will notice Rich, one half of Leading Edge Cricket, isn't with us today. It was a bit of an impromptu session I had with Will. Very good to sit down with this man and talk Blackcaps cricket. We'll be doing it again in the future, so I hope you enjoy it, guys. Here's Will. So, Will, thank you for joining us on the podcast once more, my friend.
No worries.
You have a good New Year.
To be back. I did indeed.
Summer well in New Zealand?
Yep, it's one of the best I can remember in a long time. Sunshine every day.
Beer every day?
Well, it's not publicly confessed to such crimes, but it's very possible.
It is. I don't know if you've seen it, but there's been a few tweets or Facebook messages go around from Napier Police at the moment. And they're after a band of Indians that keep beating up Kiwis. Yes.
Yes, I did see that. Good to see the constabulary maintaining a sense of humour about these sort of things.
So it's been I don't know, for me, one of the more hyped series there's been in New Zealand in a long time. Yes, England coming over was a big deal, but generally you get your Sri Lanka, your Bangladeshis over here, and it's a bit, goes a bit under the weather, and, you know, we've seen how bad Sri Lanka are lately. But India coming over, it's kind of a big deal. You know, the fans are all behind it. There's a lot of big Indian community in New Zealand as well.
Yeah.
Stands are absolutely packed, plenty of noise, plenty of colour. And then the cricket on the field has been really good if you support one team.
Yeah. And the disturbing thing from a supporter of the other team is it doesn't really look like they're breaking sweat to do it.
Yeah.
I mean New Zealand, have got problems all across the park in that respect. Number one, I suspect, is kind of the balance of the side, and, you know, what do you do with your picking 5 batsmen, 2 all-rounders, a keeper and bowlers, or whether it's that we can't seem to score more than 10 for the opening partnership, or whether it's that the bowlers at the top of the order can't seem to take any wickets. I suspect this is going to be a series that we quickly want to forget.
Yeah.
And thank God the World Cup's on the other side of the world, and your casual fan probably won't see as much of it.
Yeah, It definitely is one of them. So we'll have a quick stroll through some of the games. So first game was down in Napier.
Yep.
157 all-out Blackcaps.
Yep.
Kane Williamson with a wonderful 64, as Kane Williamson does. Some of the shots he was playing was just sublime. That back foot drive is as good as anything. Ross Taylor, 24. Good eyesight on him these days. He looked pretty damn good. But then there's a telephone book either end of what's gone on. And 157 all-out, 38 overs bowled out. And when I kind of predicted this series, I went, you know what, Guptill and Colin Munro at the top are as good as anyone in T20 cricket around the world. What's the difference? Why is it they come here in the 5 and 8 and Mohammed Shami's gone straight through them? What's going on?
I think there's been a period of time where we haven't actually faced any bowling in anger that can bowl 6 balls on the spot, and I don't mean there or thereabouts, quite literally on the spot, and doing just a little bit. I mean, if you've watched these games, our batting has been rubbish, but it hasn't been like the Indian attack have been doing anything particularly, and I use the air quotes here, brilliant.
Yeah.
You've got a seamer who's bowling at a decent clip, but it's not ripping through at 155. He's hitting top of off stump length. So again, we're not looking at prodigious swing, and he's nibbling it just a little bit. And I just don't think we've faced any bowling that can do that for a long time. When we get down the order against the spin, the ball hasn't been turning square. There hasn't been variable bounce. It just looks like we don't know how to concentrate over a period of time to bowlers who are, let's say, demanding rather than, terrifying. They're all getting starts, getting to 10 off 17 balls and then clipping a half volley to the bloke at mid-wicket says more about sort of a suffocating and constant pressure rather than pitching on leg and hitting the top of off kind of stuff.
Now, you could turn around and say India's done the homework here.
I've watched absolutely.
We'll get into the other matches, but I watched them bowl at Martin Guptill in particular, and now he looks low on confidence. And technically, he looks the worst that I've seen him in his long time. His bat's really coming from outside. He's cutting across the ball, closing the outside edge. And, you bowl at Martin Gupta. You bowl it full. You know he can hit the ball out the stands. And you know he can pull the ball. They're literally bowling the top of off stump or just back so he can't drive it. And he's kind of getting himself stuck. So you can look at it and go, he's batting really badly. Or you could look at it and go, actually, this Indian team, for not having anyone express pace. Mohammed Shami is a decent bowler. Kumar's a great bowler. And the spinners are suffocating in those middle overs. They don't give you a lot of bad balls. They're actually bowling to a plan really, really well. And it's almost like, for me, when I watch the Blackcaps over the years, it's an express start. And then you've got Taylor, you've got Latham in the centre now as well, with Kane Williamson there, who knock the ball around and keep it ticking over before the bish bash bosh at the end, where you get your Corey Andersons and Luke Ronke's coming in. It's almost like they're not quite sure how to build that innings and go on when they've had a fail at the top and they find themselves 2 or 3 down early doors.
Yeah, and because we've been 2 or 3 down early on, it means that we've had to let the Indian bowlers settle into their spells. We're not. If there's a big difference between 2 for 40 and 2 for 70 off 10.
Yeah,
and that difference is that the bowlers can still bowl to their plan.
Yeah, which
you have to give them props for. They have executed rather brilliantly.
Yeah.
And whoever's conceived the plans, their brains trust, has, as you said, they've done a really brilliant job. Guptill in particular, they've actually bowled like it's a test match, and he gets nicked out, which is why he doesn't play test matches. Bowl into Colin Munro, bowl it wide and throw it outside of off stump. He'll have a big slash, and that's why he doesn't play test matches.
Yeah. They've gone about the business very well,
And as I said, like, having a plan is one thing. Having 4, 5 bowlers who can all execute that plan, it seems, for almost every ball of their 10-over spell is very different.
Yeah, and I was particularly impressed. So Kuldeep Yadav got 4 wickets in this game for 39, but Chahal, now I watched him in Australia, and he got 6 for against the Aussies. And for a guy, he doesn't get massive turn, but he's got 33 dot balls out of his 10 overs, and it's just a constant build-up of pressure, and there's huge amount of flight thrown in there. And when I'm watching some of the Blackcaps, they're not rotating the strike enough. There's too many dot balls building up, and like you're saying, the pressure comes on, and then it's almost like, we need this release, and that's where the wicket's going to come. It's club cricket 101, isn't it?
Pretty much, and that pressure that they're able to bowl is because that we've been 2 down for 7 after 5 overs.
Yeah.
So there's no scoreboard pressure on the Indian bowlers.
Yeah.
They're not looking to do any experimentation. They're not seeing. They're just going, okay, I'll bowl it on the length and do a little bit, and we can't. The New Zealand batting lineup can't take any risks.
Yeah.
And their fielding, the Indian fielding, is as good as I've ever seen it.
It is.
And they seem to have the right person in the right place.
Yeah.
And as you said, it just prevents the scoreboard ticking over in 1s and 2s. Big shot needs to be played. Tends to bring out a wicket.
Yeah, it definitely does. And India kind of romped home. 34.5 overs. Never really in doubt, was it?
No.
Dolwan 75 not out. Only going at 72 strike rate. Kohli 45 of 59, 76 strike rate. It was just a matter of getting there. Now, Trent Bolt bowled pretty damn well. Pretty tight. 3.16 and over. He went for. Tim Southey, it's to a point, the question. Tim Southey is a one-day cricketer. How many more years do we see of Tim Southey as a one-day cricketer? Do we think he's penetrative, I'll get there eventually, enough to warrant a place in this team? Does he dry up the runs enough to be part of this one-day team? Or is it a case of he's the best that there is at the moment, he's done it for a period of time, and he's the guy?
There's probably a bit of truth in all of those statements.
Yeah.
Tim Southey's issues in the last few years ODI cricket are his death bowling.
Yeah.
So he tends to get whacked a lot.
Yeah.
In these days because of the rise of 2020 cricket. Batsmen are so much more adept at smashing reasonably good bowling when they have to for the last 5.
Yeah.
If the ball doesn't swing, Tim Southey's not quick enough these days to really worry anyone.
Yes.
And therefore, I would suspect that his one-day career is winding down.
Yeah. but there's a World Cup berth in there for him.
I would imagine he would definitely be in that squad.
Yeah.
You put down the ball might do a little bit more in England in June. I don't know why everyone's saying it's going to be flat. That's still relatively early season.
Yeah, it's normally still raining.
Yeah. And there's no substitute for the, couple of hundred games he has actually played.
Yeah. Given
the fact that the next couple of cabs off the rank aren't exactly sort of, pounding the door down with what we're producing when they do actually get a run.
Yeah. The other one that stood out for me was Mitchell Santner came back to playing for the Blackcaps after a bit of a ride-off. So he had a great series against England all the way back 2017 ODI Internationals. Got an injury. He was supposed to go to England and play county cricket, which I thought would have been great for him because he was scoring runs and taking wickets. And then this was his first kind of run out for the Blackcaps here. 14 with the bat, none for 32 with the ball. Pretty innocuous.
Yeah, and he's never going to be a rip through a batting lineup type of bowler.
Yeah.
In a game where we would, where he's bowling with 320 odd on the board, he'll probably get wickets.
Yeah.
Because his accuracy is right up there. He does enough with the ball when there's something in the pitch to, make the batsman think.
Yeah.
But essentially, he is a New Zealand style limited overs, block up and in type of spinner. He's got a few tricks in his book, but as you said, he had a year out. You can't expect people to. He'll be a definite starter for the side. I'm just not sure whether he plays as a spinner or as he plays as an all rounder whose bowling happens to be at the slower end of the spectrum.
Interesting, very interesting. So, a couple of days between it, and they went to the Mount for the second game on the 26th. Now, India batted first in this and went off like an absolute rocket. Sharma and Dhawan, 87 and 66 apiece. Virat Kohli, 43. Rayudu, 47. That man averages 50 in one-day international cricket, gets dropped. Don't know how that works. But this was looking for a long time. So they ended up 324 for 4 or 50 overs. This was looking like it was going to be 370, 380.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give credit, some outstanding middle over bowling. And the one that stood out for me was Ishant Sodhi, who just went about his business, didn't bowl bad balls, did the same role that the Indian spinners have been doing, didn't bowl too full, just on a length. Hey, if you want to take me on, take me on. And they didn't. He bowled his 10 overs for 43 and bowled really well. It was just really solid bowling, and they really pegged them back from chasing 370 to chasing 324.
I suspect that they were... What this Indian side are perhaps different from their previous offerings is that they were potentially on for 370. There was some good bowling, and they weren't worried about it.
Yeah.
So their batting lineup didn't sort of go into, oh, bloody hell, we're 50 runs short of where we should be. We start slogging, and they end up with 70 runs less than what they should be.
Yeah.
They've got complete confidence in their bowlers that actually, 320... We can defend that. And look, they proved to be quite true.
Yeah,
they weren't bothered at all.
No, it wasn't. It really was fantastic because the last 5 overs of the innings only went for 57 runs, of which about 25 came off Lockie Ferguson's last over with Yadav and Dhoni getting hold of him. So you take that away. Honestly, they could have been chasing 300.
Yeah.
And when I was looking, I didn't get to see the last 10 overs because I was out, but I was checking my phone. I was like, they're going to get 300 here. There's a chance of a really close game. So I think from a the bowlers that stood out, I've been really impressed with Doug Bracewell in those first couple of games.
Yeah.
I thought he's kind of stepped up. Now, I've not seen a lot of Doug Bracewell play cricket, but I thought he came in all right. He's added an extra dimension down the order with the bat, being able to get on with it a bit down the order. And I thought he looked all right.
He was always a very capable batsman, who, unlike a lot of guys that bat at that end, he wasn't getting any runs, but he also wasn't getting out in really stupid ways. He was the unfortunate bloke that got the really good ball that pitched and swung, and he was getting out playing forward defensive shots, nicking off to slip and that. So he had that knee injury where I heard him talking on the radio that he'd done a lot of work on his batting. Seems to be that. I don't think he is an opening bowler.
No.
And he was a little bit exposed in that respect that he'll be a first change or second change depending on the makeup of the side rather than opening the bowling.
Yeah.
But I think he'll have definitely booked his ticket to England.
Yeah. What about Lockie Ferguson then? Because Lockie Ferguson's economy rate during these first couple of games are quite expensive. Now, the guy does give you something different. A bit like Adam Milne used to be able to bowl at 145, 150 clicks. He's very similar. And they like to get him to bowl short in these one-day games. Lots of short balls. What's your makeup of it?
I like the idea of picking someone who has that point of difference, which we don't have a lot of, so he's quick.
Yep.
He obviously doesn't like bowling with the new ball.
Yeah.
Struggles with the control of the swing.
Yeah.
And he does get a bit of that reverse later on, so that works out fine. I'm not as convinced with the let's bowl short tactic.
Yeah.
There are certain parts of the world where it's great. New Zealand is not one of them. We don't have 82-metre boundaries.
Yeah.
So ours are 70 metres, and modern batsmen, big bats,
ball's going to disappear.
They get a lot, and it's going to be pretty much the same in England.
Yeah.
We play India at Trent Bridge.
Yeah.
Probably the smallest of the grounds in England and the flattest pitch. So you can't go and bowl short there.
Yeah.
There's 2 games left in the series. Perhaps he should be trying the more traditional route of top of off.
Yeah.
Seems to be working for the Indian guys.
Yeah. That's been one of the big call-outs for me from watching this. Like the old, when T20 first rolled around, stick it in the block hole. Get it in the block hole. Well, the block hole's a 6-shot these days. Batsmen use the feet, anything's going to go. So top of off really is the way to go in one-day internationals and build this pressure. And it's almost like you've got the first 15 overs, the batsmen are going to go nuts. Then you've got the next 25 overs where they're going to add 150 to the board at 5 and over and just work it around, try and keep wickets in hand. And there's almost like a set regime. No one's doing anything quite different at the moment.
No, but it's also because that methodology seems to be quite productive for the top sides who are consistently winning. What else can you actually do? I mean, England are perhaps going more for we'll just keep charging throughout the entire 50 overs, but there'll probably come a period of time when the balance will be readdressed and they'll come up against 2 good bowling attacks in a row, and they'll have to rein it back. But that formulas come and go in ODIs, and it's just tweaking. I mean, the fielders outside the ring now has changed that to a little bit as to what you can do and what you can't, trying to get them to up the rate in those middle overs. But I suspect that this current methodology that's being adopted by the top teams will be around for a while until there's a rule tweak, or they go back to having one ball, or you can bowl as many bounces as you want. There'll be some rule tweak that comes in which will then adjust that tactical way that you go about the 50 overs.
Yeah. Now the other thing from this New Zealand team that I took from the first couple of games was the first 4 bowlers, whoever that's going to be, whether it's a Tim Southey or a Doug Bracewell, whether it's an Ishant Sodhi or a Mitchell Santner, I feel there's a gap around this 5th bowler and trying to fill those 10 overs. And if I look at this, take Lockie Ferguson's over out of that, everyone's gone up between 4 and 6 and over, which is damn good against a strong Indian team. And then you've got Colin Munro and Colin de Grandhomme, who have gone for 80 off their 10 and were really pretty expensive. There was no tightening of the belts. There was no dot balls being bowled. It was. It's just a gap that a lot of teams have to fill. India are quite lucky; they've got so many great spinners that can kind of come in and do a job. But what did the Blackcaps do about that?
Well, they're going to. The problem that they've got at the moment is that makeup of the side means that there is no one who is a lock to bat in the first 5 that you can genuinely consider will offer you some overs. I know that Munro does on occasions, but that's more when the pitches are lower and slower, your subcontinental type conditions where he can, skid them through. So we're in a bit of a hole at the moment with that balance of the side. The Gronholm's case is, up until now, I think he's only been going for, low 5s in his ODI career. We've got to remember he was rested from Christmas, so he hasn't actually bowled a ball in anger for getting close to 5 weeks. Now, that would be harsh for most people. But then when you put him on a flat deck against one of the better batting sides going around, that's probably the worst possible scenario. I think he'll be okay for England. But we are struggling to find a fifth bowler. So, which comes back to that whole makeup of the side is how do you manage to get maybe 2 or 3 players who might make up the balance of that fifth bowler. So if you've got 3 players who can be relied upon for 3 or 4 overs, one of them might have their day and they bowl a full 10, or one of them might be absolute rubbish and they won't bowl anything. So you're looking at your Jimmy Neesham, de Gronholm.
Well, Neesham did well earlier in the summer, didn't he?
And he's back in for the next 2 one-days. So he's another one. His bowling has been very hit and miss. He's none for 80 off 5 or 5 for 8 off 10. And not much in between.
Hard to set your watch by. Because if you've got Colin Munro, you've got a Jimmy Neesham or a Colin de Gronholm, what about Kane Williamson as a spinner for 2 or 3 overs? Is he more of a declaration bowler these days? But I can remember he used to bowl and everyone would go, he's all right.
He used to bowl a lot, and then he had to rework his action. And he has never really bowled much since. Now, whether that's because with the reworked action he can't get any revs on it, whether it's because he just doesn't really fancy bowling whilst he's captaining, who really knows? But I don't think that England in June is when you're going to bowl a part-time spinner who is really part-time these days. I mean, if you're talking a part-timer who just rolls his arm over 2 or 3 overs a game, then fine. But Williamson just doesn't anymore. And it might be one of those games where, he can do it, but I don't think you're going to have that as a selection strategy anymore. No, we would have seen it by now if we had.
2, 3, 4 all out for the Blackcaps. Again, never really at the races. 5 down for 136 when Tommy Latham went off 24 overs. Left themselves a little bit too much to do. Openers struggled again. I watched Colin Munro bat. He was struggling to get the ball away based on some good bowling. It would get the odd ball that he was able to put away, but it was a lot of pressure that was constantly building. Guptill didn't look 100%. Kane Williamson, bit unlucky with what he had. And then as soon as you get past Taylor and Latham, Nicholls is a good player, but he's still establishing himself in one-day cricket, and he's not kind of like a Joss Butler coming at number 6 that could go and score 100 and win you the game. He's not quite at that level yet. So, again, it's got to be good bowling from the Indians that really set the stall out. And 15 overs down, they're 80 for 3. And if this New Zealand team's 3 down and Williamson's in the hutch, how much faith have you got in them to go the way? And it's not belittling what they can do, because I love watching the Blackcaps play, but it's being realistic about, are this team good enough to go and knock off 300 in England when Williamson's in the hutch and both openers have had a slow start?
I don't think you'd necessarily rule it out. It's not like you, but Taylor is still probably the key to that scenario.
Who's in great form as well.
Absolutely. Where funnily enough, Latham and Nicholls have at this stage probably got a better chance of making a winning contribution in that scenario where we're 3 down early on, because they're guys that are more likely to spend their first 15, 20 balls accumulating. They're not the type of batsmen who are going to get 42 off 19. But they might get 42 off 27 if they were 15 off 19 kind of thing.
So they need time to get themselves in.
Neither of them are, big biffers of the ball. They're not like the Gronholm or a Neesham, who actually are genuine hitters of a cricket ball. And they might come off, they might not, but Latham and Nicholls both need a little bit more time, so their chances of scoring big are better when we're in a bit of a hole. But that's really not a good way of we'll get in a hole, so we give our middle order more of a chance. It's not really a long-term strategy that's going to bear results.
So if we're just looking at Tommy Latham's record now, because the question is, why is he batting down the order? And he did well there, I think, when he was in India, didn't he? Batted down the order and he swept really, really well and scored a lot of runs. But if you look at his record at opener, you know, there's over 1,000 runs, 37 games. There's 300s thrown into the mixer. Average is 40 opening the batting in one-day cricket. If Colin Munro keeps failing, is it a case Latham moves up?
Well, if they decide that they are not going to persevere with Munro, I suspect absolutely that it would be Latham move to the top, and then bring in another. Then Nichols goes up one in the current batting order, and then you have another all-rounder, or you're playing Santner and Sodhi, or or you're playing Neesham and de Gronholm, or
gives you quite a lot of power in that middle overs with Neesham, de Gronholm, Bracewell in there hitting the ball as well.
And there might even be a late spot for Corey Anderson, who I heard the other day is actually might even play a bit of red ball cricket. Now, whether we actually have any of that before the World Cup squad is announced, I'm not sure, but I heard that he was going to be playing a bit of that. So, and if he's fit, he might well actually make a late run at getting in the side.
Yeah, because he's become more of a T20 specialist for a while now, hasn't he? He's played in the CPO, he's played in the IPL, been doing the rounds.
I think a lot of that was injury related. His body is not flash.
He's a big unit, isn't he?
He is a big unit, but he's had he's had back surgery, so he's had his spine fused with titanium or whatever it happens to be. So supposedly, what I think it might have been commentators talking during a domestic T20 game or something like that he's going to play a bit of red ball cricket. So if he is fit enough to get through a tournament, then potentially he comes back in the mix to bat at 6 and offer some overs.
Yeah, I'd love to see him in that World Cup squad.
Yeah.
I think he's had a 2015 World Cup. He was a big addition into that middle order, coming in at 6 or 7. Gets on with it. It puts the ball in the stands, the long stands at Eden Park, the long wide ones.
Yeah.
Remember him hooking the Aussies into them a few times, scoring 30 odd.
It's the bowling part that's he's not quite a good enough batsman to justify picking him as a batsman.
Yeah.
He has to be able to bowl.
Yes, he does.
So it's come back to that fitness thing with him, and he's been getting through his long 2-over spells at T20. So if he can stay fit, then that's another name that comes into the mix. If you're looking at saying, sorry, Colin, you just haven't scored any runs, and Latham is going to go to the top.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. The other one from this game was how good was Kane Williamson batting? He was starting to take Mohamed Shami apart in that over. I can remember he went 6-6. There was another 4 thrown in, that back foot drive. Oh, there's nothing better, and then chopped on, and that was. He watched the openers, I think, struggle a little bit and get themselves in a bit of a hole. And he's like, right, I'm skipper. I'm getting us out this hole. I'm going to get us going. I'm the best player. To me, that was the big turning point. As soon as Williamson's gone, you're 3 down for 50.
Yeah. And it was a most un-Kane Williamson dismissal. Not the chopping on, that sort of thing happens, but certain players, you're not going to be surprised if they get sort of a little bit excited and try and keep the show rolling. Yeah. Kane Williamson, you almost think, well, okay, he's taken 6-6-4. Perhaps he'll let it go. Yeah. The shot was on. We're chasing 350. He probably 330, whatever it was. He probably wanted to stamp down and saying, I'm going to hit this. I'm going to get the show rolling. Look, it happens. He's built up enough credits in the bank where you're not actually going to really have a go at him for being silly.
Yeah, exactly. So 4 wickets again for Kuldeep Yadav, and it took us on to the third one, which again was down in the Mount. So this was on Bank Holiday Monday. Yeah. Is it Labour Day or?
No, it's anniversary day. So each region down here in New Zealand have their own anniversary weekend. So that was Auckland, Bay of Plenty, which is where Tauranga is, Waikato. So basically top half of the North Island it's a random holiday.
It seems a good idea for a day off.
Absolutely.
I spent it at the beach. It was great. So New Zealand backed first in this, which I liked what they were doing. 243 all out. Once again, didn't last the 50 overs, which is criminal in 50 over cricket.
Yep.
Guppy and Munro both failing at the top. Kumar and Sharmi with the wickets. Williamson 28. Ross Taylor with a very good 93 off 106 balls. Tom Latham with a good 51. And then we go into a phone number again. So batted the middle overs well. They were 3 down for 59 after 16 overs, then 4 down for 178 off 37. Nicely set for old school Blackcaps and how they bat, and having that last 13 overs to go nuts, and it didn't quite work out.
Yeah, and again, you're looking at batsmen coming in whose natural game is not to start whacking it from ball one.
Yeah.
Nichols, barely got going. Santner barely got. Bracewell's run out was a little bit unfortunate. That was a little bit Keystone Cops, just backing up too far when there was never going to be a run. But that happens to when you're batting. I know he's batting at 8, but tail-enders with tail-enders. That's I hit the ball, I'm going to take off. Yeah. And in all honesty, if you're relying on a final 3 of Sodhi, Bolt and Ferguson to get you across the line to make it a decent score, you're not winning many cricket games. Yeah.
And you're going back to what you're talking, the balance of the team. If you've got some of the different pieces in that team, you're probably scoring 300, right?
Yeah, well, you've got a better chance of it.
Yeah. So, it was, again, another good bowling performance by the Indians, really. Both opening bowlers superb, going at under 5 and over. Yeah. Chahal going at under 6. Pandya, he was back into the lineup. Hardik Pandya, sexism aside,
he looked 4.5.
He looked pretty refreshed. He's been down those bars again. I know what he's doing tonight. Kuldeep Yadav, again, going under 5. So, solid. Just bowling to a plan, sticking to it. They were quite happy to let New Zealand go in those middle overs and just build. And just really, I've said for a while, I think England are going to win this World Cup, but the more I watch India play cricket, the more I worry, because they are really becoming a really solid one-day team and know how to win games.
I guess the difference that you'd have if you were back in England home is that you know that if they lose 2 down, whoever's batting at 3 and 4 are still going to be giving it the tally-ho. Yeah. Kane Williamson, Ross Taylor are not those players. Yeah. So you can't expect them to, sort of be that generating the strike rate. It will be very interesting with this current Indian side. What will happen if Munro or Guptill actually manage to stay there, and perhaps that we're 50 for 1 or 70 for 1 after the 8 or 9 overs, then how does their first change and second change bowler bowl? Because at the moment they're coming on with no real pressure. The batsmen aren't looking to do anything, and they can more or less roll their arm into their spell. Yeah. What's going to happen if those guys are coming on in their first bowl and Guptill's on 40 off 27 balls? Yeah. Are they going to just be able to plop it up there? Probably not. And then we'll say, I have no doubt that they're probably quite capable of responding to that challenge, but it is very different. Yeah, it is. Bowling to Ross Taylor, who's looking essentially to not get out. Yes. Or Ross Taylor in the last 10 overs when he's looking to hit you. Yeah, it's a completely different game. But India wrapped it up. 43 overs took him. 62 for Sharma. He's had a good series. Darwin 28. Kohli runs every single game without setting the world alight, just going about his business before he goes home. That might be our one of our key takeaways of this series is that Kohli hasn't got big against us, which you take small things out of the game. You do, the man's only averaging 50. That's below his career average. He averages 60, so we're winning. He averages 68 when batting second. Yeah. That's just a ridiculous record. Yeah. Dinesh Karthik back into the team, first time in a while, 38 off 38 for him and 40 for Ryudu. Bowling, more of the same, really. Yep. Not really setting the world like Trent Bolt doing what Trent Bolt does, bowling very well, creating some swing and lots of dot balls, lots of pressure. Doug Bracewell as an opener going exactly what you said, going at 8s off his 6 overs, not quite up to scratch as an opener. Lockie Ferguson, not bad. A couple of wides thrown in there, 4 of them. Mitch Santner, 1 for 45, though, probably the big takeout is, that's pretty good. And they tried 2 spinners. Yeah. The problem is that you can't really judge that bowling performance against anything because India were only chasing 245. Yeah. So if they were chasing 345, would they have gone a bit harder? Yeah. if they'd gone a bit harder, does that create wickets, or does it just mean that Trent Bowl goes for 80 off his 10? Who knows?
Yeah, different game.
With these days, when batsmen are completely comfortable with a run rate of 9s in the last 10, when you've only got 245 on the board, there is just no scoreboard pressure.
You just need
wickets. There is none.
Yeah.
You could open up with 5 overs on the bounce, and it's still not going to get someone playing a stupid shot.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree. So, fine performance by India. They go 3-0 up. 2 more to play. 1 down in Hamilton on the 31st, which you said you might be at. And then 1 down in Wellington before we get into 3 T20s. 1 in Wellington, 1 finally in Auckland. We're going to get a game of cricket. And the 3rd one down in Hamilton. Now, saying that the second T21 is in Auckland, I got my tickets last night. I'm quite excited about going down. There's a bit of hoo-ha. So Eden Park was talking about it offline. Is predominantly a rugby ground played by the Blues, and they have the club finals there, and the All Blacks play there. It's the big national kind of rugby stadium without being called it. And it's a makeshift cricket stadium when it's needed. It doesn't see a lot of test match cricket, hardly ever.
Nope.
You get the odd T20 game. You don't necessarily get many one-days because of the restrictions of where it is.
Yeah.
It's in a big, densely populated area, so the residents, they've got to be cut out at a certain time. And there's rumours coming out that the Eden Trust, as you call them, are severely in debt, losing money. There's not enough things going on in Eden Park, and there is potential that in 5-10 years' time, Auckland may be without Eden Park.
And from a cricket point of view, I absolutely do not lose a single iota of sleep about that. And this is a person who loves Eden Park.
Yeah.
And although it was quirky and weird, I used to love Eden Park in the old days. When I talk old, I'm talking about the 80s, when we had the pitch on a weird angle, and it meant that there was one really short boundary, but not much. I mean, I saw some great New Zealand cricketing performances back there. Ian Smith smacking 170 off the Indians when we were in the pup, which was at the time and still might be one of the highest scores, by a guy batting 8 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I've watched cricket there for a long time, but I just will not go now.
Yeah.
The experience for watching Test cricket is not good because it's a rugby ground, and the dimensions of the ground make it just a little bit ridiculous that you can't bowl properly.
Yeah, well, if you bowl it full, it goes over your head. It's a 50-metre boundary.
And if you... I don't like watching cricket where really bad batsmen can get really good scores by basically nicking it.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be able to get a half century at that level by nicking it over the top of the keeper's head or through gully a lot.
Yeah.
But that's beside the point. I would like to think that Auckland can get their collective acts together with the sporting scene and get us a cricket ground that makes people actually want to go to Auckland to watch a game of cricket. Now, me and a couple of friends, in the last few years, we've gone to Wellington to watch a test match. Yeah. We go to Hamilton to watch test matches. Yeah. We're quite happy to spend our money going to test matches, and we would like to do that in our hometown. There's talk of Western Springs being a ground. Dimensions wise, that would be perfect. It's nice and easy to get there. It would be a nice big-ish space. But, there's council wranglings.
Transport, transport in Auckland might be a bit of a...
Transport to Western Springs isn't actually that bad, because you've got... It's not that far from Greylin at the other end of the thing, and it would be easy enough to get there. It's just whether there is enough actual desire by the people who make the decisions to move there. The one sort of problem is that Auckland cricket are relatively comfortable with Eden Park Outer Oval. They've got their indoor school there. They've got their offices there. And for most domestic games, to play on the Outer Oval is fine. You've got the grass bank. You can, it's a pleasant. It's a little bit small, but you certainly couldn't play big boy cricket there.
Yeah. So there's talks of. I don't know if there's talks of it, but my viewpoint is they're talking about building a stadium down at the harbour front.
Yeah.
On the water.
Yeah.
Self-made, big, beautiful stadium, which is great. And you've got the
rubbish for cricket, though.
You've got rubbish for cricket. You've got the rugby league team playing at Mount Smart. You've got the Blues playing
Eden Park.
At Eden Park. You need why are there so many stadiums? There's Western Spring Stadium. There's 3 big stadiums. Plus you've got North Harbour Stadium as well, which is a rugby stadium. So you've got these 4 stadiums. Why not bring all those teams together, have them on the front? And could there ever be a case where if it's an oval design very similar to Wellington, that it does become a cricket venue as well?
It could, but all the things I've seen in regards to the Waterfront Stadium, there doesn't seem to be anything in the versions I've seen that would be big enough to put an oval to make it worthwhile to put cricket. Now, and the other thing with the oval, like the Cape Town and Wellington, is you only use that for day-night games under lights, because you've got the Basin Reserve, which is wonderful.
Yeah,
it's a proper sized ground, and you can sit in the sun. So even if they did go down that route with the Waterfront Stadium in Auckland, we're still going to have the problem of what the bloody hell do you do with test matches?
I suppose you don't need a 50,000 seat stadium like Eden Park for cricket in New Zealand, do you? If you had
absolutely not.
Grass banks, couple of stands,
which is
everyone's happy.
Which is why Western Springs, notwithstanding all the political stuff going on, would probably be an excellent choice, because yes, as you said, there's a stand there at the moment, but it's not exactly a infrastructure that would take much to dismantle it. It's basically terraces on a grass bank. I'm not close enough to anyone who can be honest enough with what they're saying, but as a purely as a spectator, that space I think would be magnificent. In regards to all the other sports moving into a ground, the problem in Auckland, New Zealand, is that actually for week in, week out events like the Blues and the Warriors, 15 to 20,000 is about right. However, you've got to have something bigger, because otherwise we'll be paying $300 for an All Blacks test if we're playing it in tests with 20,000 people. And frankly, everyone complains that it costs too much to go there now. $100 for a good seat. So imagine if you take out 2/3 of the seats. The All Blacks still need that revenue. So we're going to be stuck with, well, not stuck, but we're going to have a stadium that can at least hold 45,000 people somewhere. And if the Warriors are playing there week in, week out, and the Blues are playing there week in, week out, all well and good, but it's still going to be a 3/4 empty stadium most weeks, which is what the problem is at Eden Park. If you can fill it, like they did for the NPC final last year, by making it free, it was great. The stands were rocking. But if there's 9 people and a dog to watch a game of cricket in there, it is a great big cavern that echoes.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for jumping on the podcast, my friend.
No worries.
We'll catch you towards the end of the T20s again.
And hopefully I'll have some better stuff to say about the side I support.
And hopefully we're starting to gear up towards the World Cup.
Indeed.
Thank you so much.
No worries.
Fantastic conversation with Will. This man loves his Blackcaps cricket, but it's very, very much a hats off to India at the moment. So make sure you stay tuned to the podcast. Subscribe if you're brand new around here, wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on Twitter. We're always tweeting. We're full of tweets, us. But guys, more importantly, big stuff coming. Plenty of podcasts, plenty of news, new videos, new articles, new websites. So much in the pipeline that's unreal. You've been legends. Till next time.